So you can just for a moment put your hands over your eyes to help you cut off that connection with, you know, how we get completely sucked into the world, the busy outer world, and all the demands it makes on us. So hands over the eyes, I like that as a way of just sort of disconnecting, zoning out a little bit, but also zoning in another way into your internal world. And just take time to breathe, make time to breathe. Such a sort of basic instruction, but I do feel that we need to remind ourselves to do it. And be aware, you know, just do a little body scan. Is there a bit of you that feels sore today or stiff, or maybe just there's perhaps a part of your body that's calling your attention more than normal? Let's just be aware of that. And you know, even emotionally as well, you know, if you, I don't know what might have gone on for you, there's so many things potentially. So yeah, this might be a mood, an emotion that is sort of lingering, worry or something. So being conscious of that, not getting engaged, overly engaged, but just being aware, part of being reflective, self-reflective, self-aware. And then, yeah, one more sort of really easy breath in and out. So we're going to bring the knees, well, one knee in, the right knee in. And we're going to hug it, not excessively. So we want to feel the knee moving in, but not to the extent that we're lifting the lower back off the floor. And then let's drive the left foot away. So the left foot presses against the floor. We push it far back away from us. And we're trying to keep the back real strong connection to the floor. Maybe you can feel the psoas muscle, which is on the inner thigh. It connects from the inner thigh to the lower back. So maybe you can sense that as you're holding this pose. The upper inner thigh. We're going to swap knees. So take the other knee. So we're driving the right heel away, really sort of pressing it into the floor and pushing it away. You can flex the toes. We're pressing the left knee in, but not to the point where we're lifting up the lower back. So we want to keep the lower back flat. Well, as flat as reasonable. We'll take the other leg. So we'll take the left leg, the right leg, right knee in. And then we're going to use the belt. So we're looping the belt around the ball of the foot. We're going to bend that knee and take the foot out to the side. So we're taking almost like a lunge position. And press the foot up towards the ceiling as though it's going to touch. You could visualize it pressing literally into the ceiling, and then pull that foot down with the belt. So there's that dynamic feeling between the foot and the belt, and then press your arm into the inside of the leg and the leg into the inside of the arm. And the left heel is pressing away too. And then maybe we can move from this into more of a happy baby. So that's almost like a lunge shape, but obviously we're not on the floor, we're lying on our backs, but then you can move that knee out to the side into more of a happy baby shape. Half a happy baby. And I'm going to sort of encourage you to take the foot out and take the knee out as though we were, so we're trying to get more opening in the groin, but press the knee back into the arm so that all the while that you're stretching the foot away, there's some interaction between the knee and the arm. Does that make sense? I'm going to demonstrate from standing. Oh, poor Jenny, she's been locked out. No, they can. So you're kind of pressing. Sorry, Jenny, we're on our backs, and we're doing this shape lying on our back. So the right leg is out to the side. We're using a belt. So it's a more dynamic way of doing a stretch that normally I just tell you to just let the leg drop away, but in fact we're dropping the leg but pushing back. There's a word for it. Reciprocal inhibition, I think is the name, description of that way of moving, where we kind of contract and work one part of the limb to release the other side. So we'll do the other. Yeah, so we're going to bring that foot up all the way back up to the ceiling. Leg. Press into the left foot and hoik your bum over a little. So you're hoiking your bum over to the right a little bit. And now we're going to take that right foot, using the belt. We're holding the belt in the left hand. We're taking the foot all the way down to the left side. And we're pressing back into the right hand. So what we're creating is a twist, and it's a much stronger version of a twist than we normally do, because we're trying to keep the legs and arms straight. So you can straighten up the left leg. I'll demonstrate from standing what that looks like. So it's this sort of shape. We'll do it from standing later. The left little toes press into the floor. So you're actually turning that left leg, whereas perhaps you wouldn't normally. And we're aiming for straight legs, but of course, don't worry if you need to bend, that's fine. Limbs, all limbs straight. Keep breathing. A little bit of toning on the belly, so you're pulling the belly in. So because we're twisting, we want to have that nice ringing out feeling around the gut, hopefully. We're going to keep breathing, relax the face. And then we're coming up. So you probably want to bend the knee to bring it up. And then let's just release both feet back to the floor. Pause for a moment. Take a breath, relax your face, jaw. We're doing the other side. So it's the left leg we're bending. We're going to loop the belt over the ball of the foot. We're going to create the shape that we make when we take a lunge. So that the knee is bent, that the ankle is above the knee, or, coming close towards being above the knee. The foot presses up, so you're pressing into the floor. But the belt pulls it back. And then the right foot, drive that heel away along the floor. It should feel, pretty strong. And now you can move from this into more of a sort of happy baby shape, where the knee, instead of being in the lunge shape, we're letting the knee kind of float out a little bit and the foot can go out a little bit. Half a happy baby. And then, so that left foot is going to move towards the floor. You can keep the leg bent, but we're going to, or you can have the leg straight as well, but we're going to really press the arm into the inside leg, and the leg is going to press back. So it's not your typical kind of just dropping the leg. There's an inhibition. We're inhibiting that movement by pressing the knee back, creating a bit of friction between the leg and the arm, which I hope is going to help you release a bit more, and also a bit of strengthening as well from that. And then bringing the foot all the way up towards the ceiling. Bend the right foot, press the right foot down towards the floor, hop your bum over to the left, and then we're going to take that twisting shape that we did on the other side. The right leg, little toe can press down into the floor as well. So and then your gaze can follow either up to the ceiling or perhaps follow that left hand. And the belly pulls in. And yeah, I mean, of course, because you're all really strong, I wouldn't normally teach this in every class, but I can think you can handle, working towards having straight legs. But, maybe if it feels a bit much, of course, just bend the knees. It's heavy. It's hard holding that leg as well. So keep breathing. Try and press the left arm and shoulder blade down in towards the floor. And then in a moment we'll come up. So you're going to do that by bending the left leg and then bring the foot up. And we'll release the feet, and we'll just take a sort of a child pose on our backs, like an inverted child pose. So we're hugging the knees in. Keep the feet. Sometimes when I do this pose, my feet kind of flop in, which is not a terrible thing, but we're going to keep the feet even, so they're not flopping in towards each other. We're keeping them aligned. So the front of the feet press up. And then release your knees and roll all the way onto your side and come into all fours. So we're going to stay on the front of the feet for this. We're going to really spread the hands. We're going to press into the hands. We've got to contract the belly. So feel a little bit of contraction in the lower abdominal area. You can even give it a little tap to wake it up a little bit, and then take a sort of cat shape, so a cat stretch. So we're making space between the vertebrae, and we're contracting the front of the body, chin towards the chest, head drops down. Press into the front of the feet and maybe lift your knees a little to add a little bit more fire to this shape. So keep contracting the front body and while making space in the back body. Neck long. And then bring the knees down and come to a relaxed sort of neutral position. And now we're going to squeeze our thighs together. They don't have to touch. We're going to engage our glutes. So the pressing the bum, the buttocks together. And this time we're contracting the back body, so very gently feeling those muscles engage from the tailbone all the way up. And so we're taking a little back arch. So press down with the hands. And feel the stretch in the throat too. So it might not be a huge amount of movement, but really focus on finding those muscles up and down the spine, trying to activate them. And it's a sort of nurturing feeling. It's not a kind of horrible kind of tight grip. It should feel like a hug almost, hugging in towards the spine, the muscles. Pressing down through the hands. See if you can make a bit of extra movement between the shoulder blades, because that part of the back tends to be so stiff. And then let's just come to neutral. Tuck your toes under, and we'll take a downward dog. And we'll pick up the heels and move them all the way, or turn them all the way to the right. But try and keep even weight into your hands. So pick up your heels, turn to the right. I've got a little bend in my knees as I do this, but you can have the legs straight. And really press back into the left hand. So you get a real lovely feeling down the left side. And then bring your heels back to center. And then again, we're picking them up and turning them to the left. And press into that right hand. And enjoy that deep stretch into the right side of the body. And then turn your heels back to center. Bring your knees down. We're going to do Hatasana with a little bit of a variation, which I think is a really nice variation. So we're going to come down onto the forearms. The knees are underneath the hips as you normally do it. So we're not letting the hips travel too far forward, but we're going to bend the left arm. So we've got a little bit of bit more support from that left arm, and really reach away with the right hand. So the left arm is bent and the hand presses over to the right side. So it's that sort of shape with the left arm. And then we want to bring you can stretch that hand away so that you can drop your head down. So the left arm is parallel with the front of the mat. And we're really trying to press down with the chest. And keep reaching with the right hand. And then move your hips over to the left side. So you're lengthening out through the right side by moving the hips to the left. Keep reaching with that right hand. And you can really spread the whole of the hand, press into each joint. And then we're going to come up and we'll do the other side. So stretch the left hand away, and the shape that you're making, if you're not so certain, then you're taking the right hand so it comes arm parallel with the mat, with the front of the mat, sorry. So it's that sort of thing. I don't know if it's very easily described, that shape. So you're slightly inhibiting your stretch on the right side to increase the stretch on the left side. Head can come down, and we're trying to stretch the chest down. And then move your hips over to the right side and see what that feels like. Should feel really good on the left side. Deep opening for the left side. And then we're coming out. So we're going to come back onto our hands and knees. You can take your bum back towards your heels, tuck the toes under, up into downward dog. Pick up the right foot. So we're taking a three-legged dog. Engage the left buttock. So the left buttock is the stabilizing element for this, because obviously you're slightly unstable here because you lifted your right leg, but you're going to enhance or increase your stability by squeezing in on the left side. And then we're stepping forward with the right foot. We're going to press the left foot, the whole of the left foot down. I'm going to come up into a warrior two. So that, sorry, I didn't say the left toes turn up. And yeah, let's just spend a little bit of time here. So first of all, we want to really align the knees nicely. So bring the back of the hand to the inside of the thigh. We're going to press into the inside of the thigh with the back of the right hand. And that thigh is going to press back, and we're strengthening the inside thigh. Then we're going to take the hand to the outside thigh. and make that activate the outer thigh. We're going to press back into the back foot, left foot, and then we can take our arms up to shoulder height, look over the right fingertips. And another little thing is, obviously, you know, we're quite extended in this pose, but can you have a sense of the energy moving back into the midline? So if the feet aren't going anywhere, you can energetically have a sense of pressing back in towards the center and see what that feels like. I think it feels pretty good. Makes me feel more stable. So we're going to take Peaceful Warrior, left hand to the left thigh, right hand up and over. And then very smoothly, we're going to come through Warrior 2, down into Parsvakonasana, resting the right arm on the right knee, palm facing up. And we'll take that left arm in front of the face and find that nice long line. So get to really open up the left side hip. Reach with your fingers, tips, while pressing back down into the outer edge of the left heel. And maybe this front thigh, maybe it can drop down a little lower. And we're turning a little bit here as well. So the ribs, believe it or not, there's a little rotation. Might not happen, might be very, very subtle. You can look up under the armpit if your neck is okay with that. And then one more breath. We're going to come down. So bring both hands down, either side of the foot, step back into three-legged dog. So right leg lifted, the left buttock is squeezing in, stabilizing you. We'll bring both feet down. We're going to bring both knees down. We're going to drop into Anahatasana again. But this time you can just have both arms straight, or if you need to bend the elbows, please feel free to do that. And then look between your hands. We're going to slide the body forward along the floor. So the chest moves forward, and then coming into a cobra. So I think last week or maybe I didn't, I can't remember if I said this with you last week. We're going to work cobra without hands. Well, what I mean is the hands, of course, will still be there, but we're not going to press much into the hands. The hands, slide them back towards your lower ribs. Pick up the front of the shoulders, so move them up away from the floor. The tops of the shoulders move back towards your heels. Squeeze the thighs. We're keeping the feet together actually for this. So think cobra, you know, like a cobra tail. Thighs together, feet together. Gentle squeezing in of the buttocks. Lifting up, but maybe not much because we're not using our hands. Well, the hands are there, but we're using our core strength. And then just come down, rest the head. And we're going to come all the way back to kneeling on hands and feet, hands and knees, and then back to child pose, and then up into downward dog. Pick up the right foot. So we're engaging the left buttock. Left foot, sorry. Engaging the right buttock. Make yourself very stable using that glute. And then we're stepping forward. We're going to come up again into Warrior 2 like we did earlier. So press the right foot down, coming all the way up. I'm just going to turn around. So let's engage the inner thigh. So we're pressing a little bit into the inside thigh to help you align your knee, which will stand you in good stead, you know, as we all get older. The knees, so many people have dodgy knees, to make your legs really strong to protect that joint. And then we can press into the outer thigh, which is also really good, useful. So the inner thigh tends to be more stabilizing the pelvic area, stops your knees, you know, knocking in. Outer thigh is also really useful. We'll press into the back foot, the right foot, and then take our arms up. Look over the fingertips of that left hand. And then have a sense of, obviously the feet are quite extended, they're quite distant, but you can still sort of squeeze down and imagine that pressing back towards the midline through the feet. See how that feels. And then we'll take a peaceful warrior. Right hand to the right leg, left arm up and over and breathe. All the way back to warrior, and then smoothly down into Parsvakonasana, Utthita Parsvakonasana. So, and maybe, you know, you will be able to drop a little lower into this. So that one day, maybe this front thigh will be parallel with the floor. That's just something to bear in mind. The right hand, we're bringing it up over that line again. So really reaching with the fingertips, pressing down through the heel of the right foot. Breathing into the waist. And maybe the ribs turn, and maybe you can look up under the armpit. Keep breathing. Fantastic stretch, side stretch. It just means side angle pose. It sounds like a really fancy name, but it means something quite basically. Nothing more than the simple description of the shape we're making. And then we're going to come down, hands down either side of the foot, and step back into three-legged dog. And then bring both feet down. We're taking a long downward dog, so walk the feet back a tiny bit than perhaps you would normally, and then swing your shoulders so they come over your wrists. And we're finding a plank. So please, if you need to bring your knees down here, please do. And in a moment, we will drop into chaturanga. So especially if you find it's hard to hold chaturanga, then definitely bring the knees down. And we're dropping the shoulders. We're bending the elbows, dropping the shoulders. They don't have to go very low. Certainly, they don't need to go lower than the elbows themselves. Really, really pull your belly up and back. And we're just going to see if we can hold it. Which is, I don't know if we've done much holding of this recently. So it's, remember, yeah. And then slowly lower yourself down to the floor. And just completely relax your body. And that means no holding. You know, we'll engage in a moment. So practice in this moment to completely drop your weight. And effort as well. Relinquish all effort. Mini, well, not a Savasana, but a micro recovery pose. So we're going to do Cobra again, but this time you get to use your hands. So the hands, yeah, we're going to have them, slide them back towards your lower ribs. And ideally your elbows line up with your wrists. The feet, again, we're thinking like the snake. I think the image of the snake. So for this version, I'm going to get you to have the feet and the thighs pressed in, the buttocks squeezed in gently. So we're really hugging everything back towards the center. Pick up the front of the shoulders. So the top of the shoulders the front of the shoulder picks away from the floor. Squeeze your shoulder blades together and move the top of the shoulders back towards your heels. And then you can maybe press into your hands a bit. So, I mean, of course, I know there's a temptation to just like press right down into the hands, but it's nice to feel like all that energy around the core before you activate the arms. And maybe you find you don't actually need the arms so much because you're so strong in the core, which actually will stand you in good stead for so many things. So let's just hold this for a moment, not over squeezing. And then you can come down, rest your head, completely rest your head. Press down through your hands, you're coming back to child pose just for a moment. Very brief moment in child pose, and then up to downward dog. So if you have a block, this is where it might be nice to use it. So you can leave it at the front of your mat. We're going to put our foot on it later. So if you don't have a block, don't worry, it's fine. You can live without a block. So we're coming up to downward dog. Pick up the right foot, step it forward. We're coming up into warrior two, so press that back foot down, toes turn out. We're leading with the left arm, coming all the way up into warrior two. We'll just hold this for a moment. And then this is where the block can be helpful. So the hand, we're gonna move down into Parsvakonasana with the hand on the block. So if you feel like that's not for you tonight and you prefer to just rest on the bent leg, then that's okay. Do that as an alternative. I'm just sort of pushing you a little bit with this Parsvakonasana. So so the hand comes down to the little toe edge of the foot on your block. We're really pressing down through the feet, and a sense of the feet pressing back towards each other. The front thigh, maybe you can drop a little lower if you want to go stronger. We're really gonna press down into the right hand, so we're not slumping into that right shoulder and then the left arm comes up over the ear. We're going to turn the chest a little bit, which is hard, challenging, I think. Keep reaching with the left fingertips and pressing back into the little, the outer edge of the ankle on that left foot. Pressing, so we're really pulling in all directions here. And the head, I can see it, my own head has sort of just sloped off to the side, but we ideally want it to follow the line of that left side. And then we're going to come down, so well done, it's a tough pose. So hands either side of the foot, bring the back knee down. And now we get to use the block under the foot, so we can bring the foot onto the block. It's just something a bit different for you, and it can help you go a bit deeper into so the hands hands are on the inside, so they're on the big toe side. And we're going to go very relaxed here, so we're just letting our body kind of drop down. Not trying too hard, not just surrendering to gravity a bit. If you want more sort of dynamic experience in this, you can lift the back knee. And if you want less, then you can bring that back knee a bit closer towards the foot. Keep breathing. Relax your jaw, relax your face. Connect with your breath. I know it's easier said than done, but I'm reminding you because it's so easily forgotten. So we're going to take the block away, put it to one side. We're going to swing back into a three-legged dog, so that right foot swings back. Engage the left buttock, so to protect yourself in that pose, so you've got a bit more strength. You don't have to have the leg really high. And then we're going to take a pigeon on this side, so that right knee comes behind the right wrist. But we're going to stay a little bit high here. So we're on the fingertips, or maybe just on the palms, but fingertips is nice because you've got a bit more height. And then you can kind of really work on those shoulders, and the shoulders roll back. Like we were talking about the front of the shoulders when we were in Cobra, taking the front of the shoulders back and the top of the shoulders down. So that's what we want to do here as well. So this is what I mean by the front of the shoulder, this area. Just pulling it back. You can squeeze your shoulder blades in a little. And then this is something new that I've discovered that I'm quite excited by. So we're going to see if we can squeeze our knees together. Now, obviously, they're nowhere near each other. But just see what that feels like, a sense of squeezing the knees towards each other. So that means in towards the midline and back towards the pubic area. It's my new favourite thing. And then you can relax them. And you can do that a few times, sort of engaging and relaxing. And just see, for me, that feels like there's a bit more releasing happening when I do that. So maybe that works for you as well. I'm just going to say do that 3 times, squeezing everything back towards the centre, the knees together, and then relaxing. And then we're going to come down, and you can come completely down or just rest on your forearms or support your head if you. So we're going to come out in a moment. So tuck your toes of the back foot under, press your hands down, lift the back knee and all the way back to 3-legged dog. And then we'll swap sides. So bring both feet down. And in fact, well, before we swap side, we'll do a little twist. So take the feet as wide as your mat. Bring the hands together, reach for your left foot or shin or thigh with your right hand, and you're turning. Keep the hips even. So one way you can keep the hips even is squeezing the thighs towards each other. That will stabilize your lower body. So you can turn from above the waist. Because if you let your hips swing, you kind of lose the twist. Well, you don't lose the twist, but you don't target it into the upper body, which is where we want it to go. Look underneath the armpit. And then we'll swap sides. So take the other leg. Squeezing, keeping the hips very stable, the thighs squeezing in. Looking up under the armpit. Keep breathing. Big breaths. Releasing. Bring your feet back so you're more in a regular downward dog. Pick up your left foot. So we're doing 3-legged dog. Squeeze that right buttock in and then stepping forward. We're taking warrior, so the back foot flat, the toes turn out. We're going to lead with the right arm to take ourselves up into warrior. Just turning around. I forgot to say, we'll use the block again, so just make sure it's not too far. So we're, here we are in warrior, just sort of engage that inner thigh, remember, so we don't want to let the knees kind of float in, press back into the back foot. And then we're going to come down onto the block. If you're using that option, or if you want to just stay on the bent leg, that's okay as well. That's good as well. Hold this for a little bit of time. So, press down with the left hand, so you're not slumping into the left shoulder. Press down into the outer heel of the right leg. Front thigh, maybe you can drop a little lower so that thigh is parallel with the floor. One day, maybe not today. And then this right arm will bring it up over the ear. head, trying to keep a line with the, so we're not kind of floating, letting the crown drop down. And breathe into the waist, reaching with those fingertips, pressing down back into the heel, maybe turning, maybe looking up on the armpit, turning the chest. There's a lot going on here, it's really tough. So you're doing well. Just be aware that you don't want to be gripping in places like the jaw or the toes. Don't want to, so there's a bit of lightness as well in this. Keep breathing, doing really well, very strong. And then bring hands down either side of the foot. So this is where we use the block under the foot if you want to. Just slide something a little different. Hands come to the big toe side of the foot. We're kind of going a little bit floppy here. I was going to get you to do half a crow, not crow, sort of half crow, but I decided we'd save that for another. Try and let your body, your head, your jaw, everything, sort of surrender it back to the floor. Quite strong as well in a different way. So if you want a stronger experience here, you could go for it. You know, you can lift the back knee, but equally, if you feel like you'd be better for your body, you're better going gentler, then you can bring that back knee in a bit, so it's not quite so extended. And then we're going to come out by, we're going to take a three-legged dog again. So remove your block, hands down, swing back. Squeeze that right buttock in, stabilize. And then we come into pigeon, so that left knee behind the left wrist. We're going to stay on the fingertips, or even actually you could have your hands on a block. So the purpose of that is we've got loads of room, so we get to really feel the shoulders and maneuver them so they're not all scrunched up in unpleasantly up by your ears. So you've really got front shoulder area. You can really sort of work on moving it back, squeeze the shoulder blades in. Tops of the shoulders move back down towards your heels. Lots of things to work on here. Soft around the jaw, so you're not, you know. And then we can have a think about those knees and the idea of the knees pressing back towards the midline, towards each other. See what that does. And you can do that momentarily. You can have a little sort of squeezing in and then releasing, squeezing in, and see if that helps you go deeper. For me, that worked really nicely as an instruction. Maybe try that. And you can experiment with very subtle, bigger. So it's called, there's a word for it, it's called isometric. It means when there's contraction that doesn't change the alignment. So you don't barely see the movement, isometric, and the angle doesn't change, but it's actually very powerful. So when you've done that a few times, you can come low into your, more how we normally do pigeon, just resting on the forearms or head down. And you can be just a bit floppier in that shape. And then we're coming out. So hands pressing down, tuck the toes under, lift the back knee, swing back. Three-legged dog. And then bring your knees down all the way to the floor. And we'll just sit for a little moment. Hands, palms up. palms up and just pausing. I want you to do a Ustrasana camel pose with you. Now, I learned something today that involves using a block, and I would recommend, I forgot to tell you this at the beginning, but you could roll up your mat a little bit to put under the feet. So you don't necessarily have to roll up the whole mat, or you could use a cushion under the feet. So we're going to come to a upright kneeling position. So the rolly thing, which I'm going to use like this, is going to come under this part of the foot, so sort of front of the ankle. And what it does is it gives you a little bit of a hoist, extra added height, elevation. So then it's easier to reach for your heels, but I don't expect you to reach for your heels, but we're just going to experiment. So we're coming up to this upright kneeling position, hips above your knees. We're going to bring the palms into the back of the waist, sacrum area. So I'll show you what that looks like. But fingertips pressing down into the sacrum. And we're really trying to press the hips forward and hoik the lower belly up. So there's a lot of sort of engagement in the lower belly, and the tops at the front of the shoulders move back like we did in pigeon and cobra. So really those, and the shoulders move down. So the tops of the shoulders move down, and the elbows can press back towards each other. And this may be all the only, where you stay. Maybe you're not going to go very far, but you can experiment with reaching back for the heel. So this is where having something under the foot just makes it that little bit easier. So I'm actually using my left hand, but you can use your right. It's just that. And maybe, so naturally when you reach back for the foot, naturally your hips move back a little bit, but the full pose is to press forward the hips. So the hips remain above the knees. And although I forgot to instruct you to put a block between your thighs, but we're going to visualize a block between the thighs and squeeze the thighs in. And then I like to, so I've got my left hand down, I like to lift up with the right hand. So you've got a feeling that upward lift helps your chest to lift. You don't have to worry about taking it back, just sort of lifting up to engage and lift the chest. And maybe your head drops, it doesn't have to. And then we're going to come up. So you can support your lower back with the hands, come back up. And just pause, let things settle. You might have an instinct to come into child pose or something, but it's better to just let things settle because it is quite a powerful movement and we don't want to, better to just rest, pause. We'll do the other side. So hands supporting the lower back, elbows pressed back, hips move forward, chest lifts. And maybe you're not going to go anywhere. It's not compulsory that you go that, but you can experiment with bringing the hand to the heel. And very common, the hips come back as the hand reaches the heel. That's okay. But the alignment, the ideal alignment is for the hips to stay above the knees. So just bear that in mind. Sometimes I do this against a wall where you press your thighs into a wall. And then we can try lifting that other arm. And I'm conscious that it is incredibly, I think this is one of the harder back arches, so feel free to sort of come out at any point or come up so you're not quite so extended. it's also fantastic for stiffness in the lower upper back. So I'm going to come out. So just be really gentle, controlled as you come out, and bring your hands to your lower back. And you can very, very slowly sit back on your heels now and keep the hands on the lower back just to encourage those muscles to relax, stay relaxed. You can even do a little, with the backs of your hands, kind of gently, sort of little pummeling. I like that. So we did lots of back arches tonight, but I think that is definitely the harder one. So just sitting for a moment, when you've done your pummeling, just sitting for a moment. If you need to remove the things under your feet, then do that. Things settle. So we're going to take our feet, we're going to sit on our bums, but the feet are just going to move out to the side. So as though you were like a Victorian, I don't know, debutante or something at a picnic. You know how they sitting very daintily. So your feet are to the right, and you're going to bring your right foot, the front of the right foot, into the arch of the left foot. It's a bit of a fussy little detail that, but just see if you can do it. And ideally you want to sit evenly, but inevitably you may find that you're more tilted to one side, so you could sit on something if you felt like you were very uneven. Put something under your bum. We'll take a twist. So we're going to turn towards the left. So we're going to take the left hand lightly, press it behind you, right hand to the left knee, and turning gently. Maybe look over that left shoulder and the front of the shoulder area that we've been looking at a bit recently. So can you just gently move that back? And then also the top of the shoulder down. And maybe this left shoulder blade, maybe very gently melting that in towards your spine. So we're going to just pick up the hands, maintain that twist, and then very smoothly turn and move to the other side. So you can have the left hand on the right knee and the right fingertips press lightly down. And this time, attention to the right shoulder. And then pick up your arms, very lightly let them float for a moment. Try and hold that twist for a bit, and then turn back to center. We'll go the other way. So you get to take your feet to the other side. So it's the right front of the foot into the arch of the left. Sit on something if you feel like you're really uneven, you can't feel stable. So we're going to turn to the right hand to the right, sorry, left hand to the right knee, right hand, light fingertip pressure to the floor behind you. Pick up your hands and we're going to float all the way around to the other side. Just keep a little eye on your shoulder, so it will want to curl in a bit usually, so just gently nurturing it to move back. up your hands, turning back to center. We're going to set ourselves up for coming into Savasana. So if you need to pick up, I don't know, blanket, eye cushion, essential oil, whatever, please just get what you need now. And then we'll take a Baddha Konasana. So we're just going to hold the feet, soles of the feet pressed together, pressing the little toe edge down into the floor. And you can even lean in with your elbows or arms into the thighs. So you're kind of opening up, because we do a lot of squeezing thighs together. So it's nice to really sort of stretch them out a bit as well. Let your head drop. And so you come up, and then you get to lower yourself down. I'd suggest coming into Supta Baddha Konasana where the feet are together, but if you feel like that's maybe not quite the thing for you at the moment, then you can just separate your feet and lower yourself with your feet separate. So just again, it's just nice way to sort of open up the inner thigh. So you can bring your hands onto the inner thigh, especially if it's sore or very stiff. But if you're very happy and comfortable here, you can also take your arms over the head and hold the elbows. That feels very nice as well. That's more of a slightly more dynamic for the upper body. And then you can, yes, just feel free to stay here for a little bit longer if you want to. It feels really good. But then when you're ready, you can come out into your version of Savasana. So I want to do a little exercise for the heart in Savasana. So it's a bit more of a meditation than perhaps what I normally do with you. So it's pretty simple really, but we're going to start by just a little bit of alternate nostril breathing. So we're not using our hands. And if you're feeling that you're not able to get a sense of the alternate nostrils, just visualize it. So we're going to start by breathing in through the left side, breathing in through the left nostril, and have a sense of the breath rising up to the midbrain, so to the area behind the third eye, the forehead. The breath breathing in through that left nostril, breathing out through the right. So the sense of the breath ascending up to the midbrain, around the third eye, and on the out breath descending through the right nostril. So just do a few of those breaths. Easy breaths, so not laboured, not straining, not trying to force anything. Like I say, if you're not feeling it, don't worry, because it's just visualizing it will be very effective, because it works the same part of the brain, visualization, as when you're actually doing something. Sensory cortex. We'll swap sides. So again, just breathing in through the right, and have a sense of the breath ascending up into the forehead, the third eye, the midbrain, and on the out breath descending through the left nostril. Make it smooth. We're trying to refine the breath as much as possible. creating a greater sense of ease. In through the right, out through the left. So relax that technique now. Just let your breath come to its normal pattern. Now we're going to breathe in again and have a sense on that in-breath of, so breathing in through the nose, but through both nostrils. And at the top of the inhale, we're just pausing for a moment. So we've got a sense of the in-breath collecting a little bit around this area of the midbrain. As though like a little reservoir, a little pool of vitality, of that vital in-breath, prana, chi, ki, however you want to think of it, life force. And then on the exhale, we're going to have a sense of that vital energy dropping down to the heart, descending to the heart. Do that again, breathing in, pausing at the top of the inhale to let that energy collect at the back of the forehead, the midbrain, like a little reservoir. And then breathing out, letting that energy descend to the heart. And you can also maybe visualize the heart as like a little flame, a little candle, a little light. We're going to strengthen that with that out breath, so with each out breath. So just carry on, breathing in, collecting the energy, breathing out, sensing it, descending to the heart, strengthening. The light of the heart. And we talk about light-heartedness, we talk about the heart's content and the heart's delight, and this is what we're nurturing here in this practice with each of those out breaths. And maybe there's a sense of not only greater ease and comfort and vitality around the heart, but also for that to spread out up into the throat, down into the navel, out into the sides of the torso. So we're fanning the flame of the heart. You can take pleasure in that. Strengthening the heart, the energy of the heart. And effectively lightening the heart. Letting any heaviness drop away, any sense of being restricted, constricted. And now just relax that technique completely and rest in the feeling. Nothing to try to do here, just to bathe in the sensation, sense of lightness of heart. We did a lot of heart opening. As preparation for this, so and maybe there's a sense of lightness around the extremities of the body, so around the crown of the head, that sort of nice tingling feeling in the fingers and the toes, up and down the spine, tailbone. So, yeah, sort of allowing that feeling to infuse the whole body. Whole body radiant, radiant with feeling, radiant with sensation. So you feel free to rest for longer here, but if you feel ready to come back, I'm going to give you a very small thing to do, just waken up your body a little. So you can just bring the thumbs and lightly press them against your forefinger, just to sort of reawaken the body gently, subtle, very subtle pressure. And then take the thumbs and lightly press them against your middle finger. And then lightly against your ring finger. And your little finger. And from here, if you're ready to, you can bend your knees and roll onto your side, pausing. Take pleasure in this moment. Sense of reconnecting again with the earth, with the breath, with your body, with the world. Slowly, smoothly, you can come up, sitting. So we're going to just bring our hands together, not quite touching at the heart area, not quite touching, and maybe visualizing like something precious, a little like a flame, Holding it there between the hands. Fanning the flame with our out breath. Thank you very much, everybody. Very nice to see you all. Did really well tonight. I was working quite hard, so I actually forgot to do a few things with you that I planned. Well, not forgot, I ran out of time. But yeah, thank you, everyone. Really nice to see you. I'll just stop the recording and we get